So you display my results. Then here we are just loading head. The same variables, dependent variables that NEMA predicted for different models. Here Tango pick out another section because in 753 observations here. Saka pick a range or just to display purple. Then to attend my marginal effects. Okay, my marginal effects. Let's go. My notes gonna. Marginal effects and they explain each of the independent variable on the probability that y is equal to 1. So in other words, they're saying by how much the probability of y is equal to 1 increases when xj increases by 1 unit. Then okay, at mean as well as the average one. What I'm saying the mean you don't calculate when value of x is the mean. Okay. Or the average marginal effect. For each observation, the average across the observations is what they're saying. That I don't know good and didn't know about punishment marginal effects, but that's one about cheetah models. And the one other thing I know to get my odds ratio, but what would the best practice the common instead of using odds ratio to interpret most the common way and the best way is just to use marginal effects. That's what I came across. Okay, so marginal effect for the linear probability model, probability model, logit model. So I'll just run. Okay, so there are no marginal effects. I will still go back to an example interpretation here. So it's unfortunate, but that's what I'm so change this data set otherwise it's an issue of going so interpreter using Marsasaro. But anyway, in terms of marginal effects now, cannot interpret. That's how we interpret. Look at retired. Remember, tango tarisa kuti our coefficient ikana kuti a variable. Really is it significant? Then it abata state kuti riku affect chi positive ikana negatively. Riku increase ikana reduce. But that's not our magnitude. But now, if you look at marginal effects, not you state now. This magnitude. So once the retired individual are 4% more likely to have insurance in comparison with those that are not retired. So that's an example. Another one is additionally in education individuals are 2% more likely to have insurance. Something that is really Spanish and so here they're stating the natural unlike my questions which are different, that marginal effects are almost identical in all the three models. Marginal effects are almost identical. The signs of the coefficient marginal effects are the same for the logit and probability models. Okay. Sorry, I'll move on to pseudo item here. Okay. Yeah, this pseudo measures the goodness of fit of a probability model, comparing low likelihood I'll still need some help from such sector of a model with that of a model with only constant. So they're saying you can run kana richiti model the constant no gonna run a model ingorne constant the full model in unrestricted models. Unrestricted model in my variables. So then this one R squared the model in it's R squared equal to 1 minus the unrestricted model over the restricted the model in a constant so that the difference actually iripo do irikubudisa the goodness of fit and data. So kana iri close to 1 it means model then kana iri closer to 0 it means the model actually I see okay the goodness of feature is okay it's not okay it's not so balance a higher pseudo R squared with the same dependent variable but different variables would indicate that the model produces the outcome bit. So in R now that's how we calculated the pseudo R squared yacho.
Pamsoro yabereka, I'm very emotional. 5 o'clock dzakwana izvezvi asi majoina kare ndatosara kare. Why?
Tanzifo ndo yazotaura nevanhu sora bada.
Usadaro sure.
What issue is to R squared? I think and like I said, econometrics I'm still very much sure, but I hope China help Yakawanda Kumberigo. But like I said, but there is the goodness of FTH model. Then I think the last part. Irkungo Tower percent correctly predicted. I think I didn't from our machine learning, do the confusion matrix. Irkungo Tower the predicted values pi and expect in text then this is my actual values. Then this library I can't carry it. Then to see that the confusion matrix yellow. So this one it comes from the probit it passing the logit. So Karana it means you could okay accuracy is around 73%, sensitivity, positive predicted value, negative value, something like that. Then Chorana Futi logit 72.7. Yeah. So you realize good thing, like I was saying, Pepe, this could difference in terms of some marginal effects you masuto are predicted fantasy probit logit. It's almost the same. Like any difference. That's why I'm saying the choice of model yako is not depend on the way as an individual. So in terms of what we managed to do, so my question is still what's a class good. You find we did Shatakaita in my chest, nachi. But ndaga tichona batanga tichisearch outside that now ona panga pacho next test ona kuti how they do my problem logic models do those are not that is what issues. But I guess the most important thing I think Chatino is we want to put it in a filter cell the model the also the problem Once amount was Mr. Printer, then Tapshka interpretation paper data. I think that's what I don't know can apply any questions subscriptions. Thank you.
Christian.
I agree.
Oh, so I've got a question on the choice of probate and
sorry, and I can't hear you. I'm not sure what network yangu iri break kana kuti ndeyako saka ndinonzwa pakutanga ndinonzwa kuti the question per choice yeprobability so you can
all right ndandiri kuti I'm not sure kuti ndakakonzwawo zvechidzi kana data redu rine coefficient we use logit kana rine ma dydx tinouza probate nekuti kana rine ma dydx titakufanira kuadopta marginal effects. I don't know how true it is.
Isn't it not time at dydx and that's how we are coming up with my machine don't marginal effects and this
ndizvozvo kuti tiita kufanira kana tisina macoefficients tiita kufanira kutanga tagadzirisa kuti tinge tine adopta marginal effects so that tushandisa probate.
Okay, what I also found ndezvekuti they're saying kuti some vanongointerpreta marginal effects chete, some vanoita coefficients obvoenda marginal effects. So it's I guess it's also up to you. But in terms of my question in the exam, and I did an exam papers, I think tongatopiwa my specific questions could have about TTC. But can I still analyze the data? They say kuti analysts they start nema coefficients they move to marginal effects. Kala kuti vanongo the common or the standard marginal effects, so they just ignore my coefficients and just go nema marginal effects. I mean, kana ndakwanisa kufundira zvangu chibvunza kana kuti.
Thank you so much, Ndamzwisisa.
All right. Any other question can I contribution?
Number one's case.
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to ask what is mama like the you were saying mama marginal effect akafanana it hasiani for the three models, right?
Not for the three for probability logit, yeah. So the same could even akasiana small different almost the same.
Okay. Yeah. But my question was those I get could anofanana because auntie we kind of we were kind of checking like to see what our independent variables are not affected how the probability of those binary outcomes got changing, right? So I get it with banana. But my question is about the R squared, the pseudo R squared, could I see any? Because like I see any significantly because anti pseudo R squared to check the like the goodness of fit of the model. So how is Oceania significantly depending on to pick which model?
Not sure. You can actually check Tairana paper and take a tone good just imagine. Sorry. Tiabuda Sakaita say there no problem. Sorry. Residual difference. Yeah, sorry. I'm not sure, but what I'll do is let me try and down what they say about my other script, but modules to then I'll share before the end of the discussion.
Okay. Because my thinking was, yes, because they're like the same, the logic and the probability. But I think Panoso affect Pakuso work out like the goodness of fit of the model, because in as much as they work for the same, I think Pani one is most suited to the data set so much that your other squid, and also Sian, I don't know how, but that's just my thinking. So maybe if there's some checker or Anusia, they can just.
Yeah, maybe someone can also assist. But also, I've just remembered also pursued to ask it. They said in terms of addition, they say magnitude. We know a good model. Again, something really high. But in terms of connection, we don't use such nature. Explain something, some 50 and 20%. We just don't state, don't mention as the figure. Tunongoti in a pseudo other square during high more. That's what I get.
Okay.
Yes, can I pass now? Thank you. Stop sharing. And back to Chair.
Thank you so much, Christy and Mishek. I've got a question. Could the panels do it from assumptions, like say that
padati chiunda ndakutomboenda further ndauda kunza kuti tinotesta here from assumptions. I'm still good, but handina kuzviwana. Then pakaita issue like assignment yataita challenge yekuti once tarana mama test, especially my head test anga achizoramba. Ndo pandatanga papepa ndati given the same question iyo yanditika ndobva ndanzi choose a module yangu yandoda kuchuza kuzoenda ndobva ndatoona kuti pane matests adakuita assumptions. For me, I'll just go for linear probability module because ndinoziva kuti haina affect matests angu ndotopedza ndaro, because even the lecture akazvimensiona kuti handitopenalize because someone akati ndikashandisa pamwe penalize no problem and penalize. That was also the thinking. But handina kumaona atori specific and my tests are run for logic products. Yes. I'm still ndichiri kutaga waizvozvo. I don't know kana paine vamwe vanogona kuassist.
Okay, thank you, Christy. I think maybe we can, as a group, send out to know researcher on that, maybe on our next discussion. Aaron Daughter.
Yes, I wanted to say something.
Okay, thank you.
The issue of probit and logit, it's a very serious issue and a bit confusing considering the school of thoughts have got different perspectives. But however, from my understanding, to simplify our lives, we're running the model to consider interpretation of the odds ratios. Then when you are running probit model, you have to consider interpretation of the marginal effects, the dy/dx. What determines what model to choose is the behavior of the data. If your data behaves in a logistic manner, if you remember the logistic graph, they automatically consider the logic model. If your data behaves in a probabilistic manner, when I say probabilistic manner, you do that graph of sort of normality distribution function, then obviously you consider the probit model. And on the issue of diagnostic tests, not sure with R, but in any way, whenever you run a certain model, we need justification that the model is handy to interpret. So there is need to consider the assumptions therein. If it was starter, I think it may be easier to debug the codes to run the post-diagnostic test, including the mode cordinality. If you remember, when you talk of FG, what, even for heteroscedasticity, you remember patita orange, yet probit, the OM-LG test, you can consider all those things for heteroscedasticity under those binary options. So I think on the pseudo R squared, from what I know, you take it as the general R squared, yatinoziva from multiple regression. The interpretation is the same. It explains the variation of the dependent explained by the explanatory variable. The interpretation is the same. The only difference there could, in this case, we are now talking of pseudo. So when you run those two probit logic, or even if you run the multinomial logic, it will give you the pseudo that need to be interpreted to explain the variation of the dependent. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Any questions, additions, subtractions before we move on to the next question?
Ndokumba kwanza kuti, are you saying that for you fit the model, you have to plot graph here your data kutoona kuti ekuboda iri curve iri more inclined to the logical probit?
Yes, under normal circumstances, there are two ways. Either you plot or you use the a priori information. For example, if I am to consider the Cobb-Douglas production theory, suppose in Rukuteka dependent yangu in dummy or in binary, I have to see the behavior of the variables. How do they respond? If you read further, you realize my variables, I get as an age, nana experience, they end up being squared. Why squared? Because they respond in a quadratic manner in a given dependent variable. So the way how the variables behave determines what model to consider. But all the same, if you assume the logic or probit, the difference, the result, the conclusion will be there. The difference will be maybe just very small fix in terms of even the pseudo R squared. At times you will realize there may be some times they vary, but the difference also you can't say this model is better than that.
Thank you. Thank you, Aaron. Any questions before we move on? Okay, Christy and Mishek, don't forget to share your R script and Rama and your document Rama itare the Aram group. I think we can move on to the next question. Yes, that the probit model using data, I think it's Anai and Jeremiah.
Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I'm presenting only a 2G, 3G network. So I will try by all means to do that. Plus, kuno kukuri kunaya. Meno kuchari kwa nyika ndiani zvezvi. Nyika growth point, here I am. That pull up because ndaida kunzwa about this issue of ARA, although ndazo join late and I was being booted out in and out. Right? My presentation I was sharing with Dananai, and hope Dananai, if I'm booted, make sure that you take over, because I know the network which I am operating with here. Right. We'll start with Arab. I have a question from the previous presenter. I know I now pass one opportunity. Are we supposed probit or logit? Are we supposed to be running my syntaxes for both? For probit or logit? Or we choose whether we do probit or we do logit? And our question was actually slash again. So Tasha told me, maybe help us.
It's okay. It's just to remember in initial pataka pure my questions the probit logit in R and it is so takango rana now agadaro. But obviously kind of question ya specified to the logit cannot the probit unongo sticker to that module. Do but that shit paper can pure that can see says attack to a assignment can use any module you and decide so it's not dependent on the question the way so I think for selection mode. Because can I specify, of course, you need to find a visa the specified mode.
Okay.
But in our case, just one of the ones use my data set that was the data page channel data set Sakatanguti to continue then obviously fit models you just change data set action the nation better to change those do pangata most critical how do you fit a probit model or a logit model?
Wow, that's great. That's true. And it's really negative good young. I see. Let's do. We want to hear what we want to do. We want to present. I'm setting up my screen so that I will be able to present. I wanted to edit. Okay. If you may confirm that you are seeing my screen for starter.
Yes, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Right, so help me to import the data set. I'm now doing it here. I know it's going to be one of the shortest presentations. How do we do it? This is what I want to import. Once if I take it from here, I know we are ready to go. Where's our backslash here? Best.csv. We close. Hey, I'm failing to find the codes. Okay. I was pressing control instead of right. Enter. Sorry, hey. Thank you very much. Now we have imported this data set. Our question is actually to demonstrate using a probit or a logit in Starter. Once if I have done that, I have imported my data set. Then from there, I want to summarize the data set. I think this one is just simple. So what I'm going to do, I shall use summarize what data I've used. The technology adoption as the data set. We just viewed it and discovered that the adoption was actually in binary, and it may suit actually probit or logit, since we are taking adoption to become our independent dependent variable, and it is in what binary or what is binary or is dichotomous. That's why we have taken this data set. I'm not sure if you were given any data set, but let's use any data set. Am I correct on that one?
Yes.
Or maybe I've lost everyone. All right, great. Fine. So now we are summarizing our data set, the adoption, education years, experience, farm size, and the income. Then we type list adoption, education, and what, and then we tabulate adoption, which is our dependent variable. Then those were the results. Let's just have a feel of the data where we are summarizing X and Y variables. I want to believe you are seeing it. Number of observation actually 116, and those are the means, the standard deviations. Then we are listing the variables actually up to in pages of 5 up to 116. Then we are tabulating our adoptions, and then from there we have actually logged ourselves into probit model, but you discover that we will be actually doing both probit or logit. That's why I asked, are we supposed to be logged to probit only or to logit only? If someone can confirm on that one, so that I know how we can maneuver from this side.
Do both.
Okay, so at each and every level, I'll be doing probit, then I'll be doing probit, then after that I will be doing what? Logit. Right, then here it's probit model. I'm now fitting my probit model. As you have heard, that you use the OR for odds ratios. So I get the OR on this model. Oh, probit adoption, education, farm, or not what option not allowed. So probably maybe it works to logit. I'm not sure. I'm just seeing it right now to say OR is not allowed on this one. Or maybe it's a wrong syntax. Those who are following me, I'm trying to logit so that we can prove if it is an issue of syntax. True, it is an issue of syntax. So let's learn from this mistake that on probit you cannot put the odds ratio. It's only for what? For logit. This is what we are having. From your coming. Right? So on this model, I shall just comment a little bit on the logit aspect, where there are 4 iterations, and our probability of chi-square is actually 0.00, and pseudo R is actually 0.15, right? On this one, as I'm commenting there, the rule of thumb is once you see the pseudo nearing 1, then you know that you are having a good model. And it is nearing 0, not the worst model. And when the probability is nearing 0, it's a good model. I'm not sure here how can you describe this one? Using the R squared, I think the pseudo R squared, I think this model is the bad model. That's what we have actually classified to it. But on the iterations, I don't know how exactly to interpret them. And I want to believe Aaron may assist us with this one. Those iterations which you are seeing on the screen, how are we going to interpret them or to derive value from them?
Yes, Jeremy. Iterations, they are not necessary for interpretation. They are just there for Kutati come out with the output, but otherwise they are not necessary for interpretation. We don't even interpret.
Great. What about now? Can you check my probability and my pseudo R? What can we derive from that one?
They sound a bit conflicting. The calculation of the probability chi-square involves the pseudo R squared. But however, the probability is highly statistically significant. In other words, we are saying it's statistically significant at 1%. But of course, we are testing two different things there. That one, we are saying it's for the model fit. Overall, we're saying the model is significant. But however, in explaining the variation of the dependent variable, then we have a very low figure, on the pseudo R squared. You can conclude maybe to say, to make life easy, to avoid confusion, don't jointly interpret the two. Interpret pseudo R squared by yoga, and there you say no order is not good under pseudo. Then under probability chi-square, you interpret on itself. Then in this case, can come that the model is good. You get the point. But the only thing that determines that the model is good is to satisfy all the assumptions. Thank you.
Okay. Right. Thank you, Mr. Aaron. I think you have actually also touched the way I was talking about, to say when the pseudo R squared, when it is approaching 1, then we know that we have a model there. When it is also up to 0 here, then we know that it's a West model. And unfortunately, with our bit of chi-square, yes, unfortunately, cannot interpret them jointly. Right. Now looking at the next step, we need to do what are called the predicted probabilities. Predicted what probabilities, so that we can compare them with the actual Y value or dependent figure. Start with the probit. Right? Predicted the variables. Let me see if this one can run for this set. Yes, it have actually run. Then after that, we now have to summarize the predicted variables. I shall summarize the first 5 and the last 5 from the 116. So I want you to see here what is going to happen which one? Probit. Yes, let me see if this is probit. Yeah, with probit. So I'm now summarizing. So we have a general summarization on the dependent variable, where I will run the adoption heads on probit, and then I will list the adoption heads for 1 to 5 items, and then the last 5 items. Hey, variable summarize not found. Okay. We have managed to do a general summary But here I think it's issue of type, which is giving me some error. We need to summarize in 1 to 5 and in 109 to 116. Can someone help me there? If it knows, who is someone there? Help me to debug that one.
Sorry, what was the question?
Oh, Asida Butwa from the meeting.
No, I think
I type summarize adoption head for probit for the first.
Yes,
the first 5, but it's saying variable summarize is not found. I don't know where I have lost it because everything is like is in order here.
I have done it. To ask just for the few of the data.
There's something right. Let me check. Okay, I'm trying this one. Just a little bit, I think. Yes. Fine. I've summarized I've summarized the variable, which is adoption. The first 5, I'm taking the predicted probabilities for adoption. The first 5 predicted probabilities. Then I'm now taking also the last 5 predicted probabilities for adoption. I hope you are seeing how I'm doing it, so that you'll be able to follow. Right here, I'm taking the last 5, which is 109, 109, 116, and then we say, and right now, those are the 2. I'm trying to film data. Can you view at any place? Let's say, for example, you also want to take it Bumbu Chaipo. You can just do the same thing. At the end, I will make an analysis on this one. Padumbu, let's say 80 to, let me say 200. Then after that, I say enter. So up and over Padumbu up. Right, let's analyze these things. These are predicted probability. Okay. You have to see if they are enough, normally above 0.05 to predict the variable. For example, in the first 5, only observation number 4 of adoption from the model is giving a probability of 0.87, which is a strong probability, strong positive probability to predict this one. Out of the 5, we have only, right? Then on the last one, out of from 9 to 16, I don't know how many are there. I think they're around 6. We have approximately, we have only 2. The observation number 112 and observation number 114. And all of them, they are above 0.05, but only one with strong prediction of 0.83. Right. So we are seeing that the predicted probabilities are not that what strong from this model. Maybe may go and go much more further, but these predicted probabilities, we can, there are few observations which are actually doing correct predictions for this dependent variable. Right? Then I will go further to do for
Hi, Jeremiah. Sorry.
probit. Yes.
Can you please come again by interpretation? Yeah, my predicted probabilities. What you explain now, could the first 5 or pick and the last 5 are significant, not significant gap.
Okay. Look at that explainer. Someone help me there. Someone help me there.
Sorry, come again. Now comes a question here.
The question is about the predicted probabilities.
Okay, from my understanding, and my predicted probabilities are isusu to predict the likelihood dependent variable could say the one kind of zero. So from a prediction up, so it means for something chiri greater than 0.5, iriku torwa is a 1, and something chiri below 0.5 is a 1, because they're just predicting could is it a 1 or is it a 0. But it doesn't necessarily mean could value ya pick ya predict kwa say 0.7 inogona kungi okay a predict 1 but the actual ito is 0 ndo pamso buda ya ipepesira kuti confusion matrix ipesira. So in terms of my predicted values arikungo show chete kuti kana close above 0.5 ya predictor is 1, which normally our value another inanga iri interested then below 0.5 means the predictor is 0, something like that. I don't know, but I'm not to explain.
Hi, Christ.
Okay.
I want to.
Thank you.
Sorry, I want to ask you. What's the intuition then? I heard the interpretation, but the intuition now.
Sorry?
What are they saying? What the predicted results you're interpreting? I heard your interpretation, but what's the intuition?
Okay. Let me come into that explanation again for the intuition. The intuition here is about plotting a confusion matrix whereby we say those which are able to predict adoption, right, correctly. How many are they? Where the probability is 1, right? So you're not going to have 1 exactly, but strong. It 0.95, 0.83, and really correctly. And those ones which are correctly predicting not adoption, since adoption is actually 0, 1, yes or no, right? Which are saying yes and find a strong probability. Which are saying no, find a strong probability, where the no is 0 with strong probability. And then the other one, the confusion matrix, if you should remember it in machine learning, that's the one which is being plotted here. Thank you.
By explanation, I just thought of something. Party list adoption had probit. Can you remove adoption with, let's say, age at probit?
What? Okay. You are saying which one?
Party list summarize but I want the area as a variable summarize not found. Can you change any adoption ways one of the other variables? Like, I just want to see something. Party list summarizer.
All right, it's okay. I'll do the 55 for you. Fine. Let me find which one. Education, yes, that's the one which I'm checking here. But we have a dependent variable which we've already set in our when we're fitting our model. So what you want to do here, but anyway, let's just do it.
Not that one. Like, what I think is the list summarize. I'm thinking it's because I want to summarize a variable is like the reason why we're even using logit probability is because we're saying our dependent variable is qualitative, not quantitative. It's either yes or no. We're just saying the yes or no is 0 or 1, but still the adoption is it's either yes, so we cannot summarize that. I think that's why we're getting that error and the variable summarize not found. You get it?
Okay, I'm getting it. So probably
variable, we can only list, but we can't use that line of code list summarize because that adoption variable summarizer, it's not a numerical variable, so we can get a summary of it.
But from the data set, it's numerical, which maybe
it's 0 and 1.
Yes.
But 0 and 1, it's yes and no. Because initially, antitarati tunoshandisa logit ni probit only when our dependent variable is dichotomous, which means it's either yes or no. It's either a female or male. But the reason why it is a 0 or 1 is because of that whole female, male, yes, no. But then we can't say that dependent variable it quantitative. We get it.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah,
so
like we've got gender, male or female, but pertinent we analyze it as zeros and ones, but it's zeros and ones standing in for male and female or yes and no. So then we can't.
Okay.
But anyway, I think we can research and find, but I think it doesn't work for this.
All right. It's okay.
Sorry, I have a question, Papa.
Hello? Yes, hello.
I'm checking. Yes, I'm checking Kuma variables because I know could see adoption yet probit and it my predicted values of which Kuma variables names iripandit. Then the error one yabuda and de chi because we predict footer ye logit yacho. Because no hypoca variable because the subtable.
What happened is, guys, error yabuda apokap. We don't. I think we don't do summarize. Because we don't do summarize. Maybe kuna command yakada to list summarize. Those are now funga. So as a result of that, does command is list adoption at. Do I command is pana? Are you convinced that we have list summarize?
I think we.
You can just use summarize.
Okay, I can just use summarize personalized. Okay, let me just do that one. This one. Yes. Yeah, this one yabvuma because even or here tatamboirana hedu yechinzi summarize. Yeah, this is the one which taburana previously. But the one for listing, we're trying to view my observations from observations, the first observation, the last observations, whereby we're looking at the actual and the predicted probabilities. But I want to leave this one as for further research to find the best way how can we improve our syntax on this one. Okay, now after that, we may want to do the same on our predicted probabilities for probit. I think we've already done for our logits. So I will start by running with a summarize here, since to check someone does actually probably is no run probit check. So I will put summarize here, the first and the last. Okay. Let me remove this thing and then press enter. Right. So we don't have the syntax in the summarize. I want to believe that you are seeing it right now. So we only run it in the here, list the dependent variable, and then it will run like this. Right. Similarly to the explanation which I was talking about, the 65, we are not seeing anything. This one's actually on this predicted variable. They were talking about it. They are more like similar to each other. And if you want to check here, the 35, the fourth observation is 87.3%. This was 787. I'm used to read probabilities and percentages. 0.8. Come here on probit. The first 5 we have exactly similar, despite the fact that we are running different models, probit and logit. The same thing. Marana probit. Muruvarwa. Just all right, just to follow a little bit is no Buddha. Now I'm supposed to run logit here. Right. Only logit. The variable adoption yet is not found. Name it.
Because asabashitara kuma variables kwako wango predictor for probit, you have to predict it for logit again, then you have that variable list, then you another nice one. If you check under your variables, the same way runner ku predictor which is probit, you have to do the same shit.
That one is not a problem. Let me predict, but the predictor one pipe and there's a ratios are. So I've predicted the logit. Now I'm running the predicted variables for logit. Okay, the first 5 and the last 5. Right. So I remove the summarize. Right. Then enter. Still the same Baba.
Jeremiah.
Hello.
That's what I was trying to explain. But I don't think the works at this type of data.
Of data.
Like that whole adoption it's like I don't think summarize work for this variable. Like you can try from what's made binary LPM works, but if it's like this, I don't think it works. If it's
okay.
Variable in this like logic part, but I don't think summarize works for that.
Now I'm now believing. I'm now concurring with you now that maybe the data set which you have chosen here does not work. You know, zvandaida kuti ndibhanangudze marginal effects and the average effects ndodini man.
Sorry, and sister one thing. Are you saying kuti alishande for logic but no shanda for probit? That's what you're saying for predicting. Is that it?
Maybe you may need to see and have a feel of my data. Let me just view it so that you can also see it. This is the data set which you are talking about. Right?
Sorry, Jeremiah.
Yes, sir. Come in.
I think about you is a shandega. About create a variable adoption eight logits about fit at the model, right? But I'll not create the adoption eight logit. Like sort of command or chance so why to do something. I think you should do that for logit. Then you also create variable adoption eight. When you predict about not predictor, I degree adoption eight. That is the cause of this. Just to go up so.
Okay. Right here we sized the data. Then after that, here we fitted the data, the model, the probit, but the probit model is not allowed, did it? So it was
Yes,
fit, but we only fitted the logic one. So where exactly do you want us to fit again?
Predict adoption yet probit. Go not predict adoption yet logit. Are you getting it?
Okay.
So this is our jamba. White as a super logit. Are you getting it?
Yeah. Now I think I'm following you. Predict adoption yet logit. Yeah. We did predict adoption yet probit. We didn't do predict adoption yet logit. Right. So after that, now I've predicted. Now I'm now summarizing the logit. Yet. Summarize and it.
Sure.
You discover that in this syntax. Right? Hey, thank you very much. Clap your hand for that one. Have managed to sail through. Now, we now want to do marginal effects analysis. On marginal effects analysis, I will start with probit. Effects, we can call them coefficients when it comes to probit, right?
Hi, Topin.
Yes.
Sorry, in Uchanregero, in Fuzongo to receive. But from a position of not knowing. I want to understand the question in a gamble from Saudi sheep at Trukurana, probit model, I never put out once, and if sometimes depending on a question, no one the probit or logit. But maybe Ningo could say, I don't go out to question, cannot, I don't know. Funny question, I want to wait and logit cannot probit.
No, question question 3 go assignment number 2, you can come up with a data set of your own choice. Sakatazo or in a data set.
You said 3 number 3
question 3, assignment number 2.
All right,
I think so. I'm not sure.
All right, thanks. Make the alter shape right.
Yakangonzi of your choice.
Group assignment. All right, thanks.
Then fit a probit model on the data set using starter.
Okay, and then this is. All right. And I want to question. Yeah,
okay. Now, here we've ran this one. We are now doing marginal effects. Right? On bit model, we may call them coefficients. Right? Here are the marginal effects. Okay. Let's take up.
Linda Sarah.
Right? Marginal effects. Okay, it's okay. Now, so we are together. On marginal effects, this one I've run it on not probit. What's normally because I'm going to follow. On marginal effects, we are talking of the coefficients, which we are trying to find the explanation by independent variables on the probabilities whereby the dependent variable is correctly predicted, right? So language I think it's about by how much probability of Y is correct, and it can increase or decrease by what unit of prediction from an independent variable. So on this one, we want to take the education years, right? So on education years, adoption will increase by probability of 0.125 is caused by education. I mean, but that's what I'm talking about. So when we come to farm size, just a little bit better negative one. Yeah? When it comes to farms, yeah, just a little bit better the negative one. Yeah? Then I'll come back to you. When it comes to farm size, adoption rate will decrease by a probability of 0.0069 because of the influence from the farm size. This is how I understand it. Now, if you want to understand it from the side of the probabilities rate, right? So we can say if the probability is greater than the level of significance of 0.05, we reject H naught. And conclude that there is no significance. Right, thank you very much. This is why I managed to choose from this issue of coefficients. Right, you may come in. The question now.
Yes, Mr. Jeremiah. I just want to clarity on minor effects. I think we should do the following. And that probit model. On the command section, just type MFX and press enter.
Right. MF
X.
Come again. X F like X. This one.
Yes, just press enter there.
Okay.
So that result is what we call the marginal effect. I think that's what we need to interpret then. But then the question specify the question at 10%, if I remember. You remember the question was saying at 10% level of significance.
Right. So 10%.
Yes, we need, but just on the confidence interval. So you just can you put the probit?
How do we adjust?
Command? Yes, put the probit command on the command section. The one you are up, I'm sorry.
Probit command on the command center. How do I say probit command? Probit.
Ukaenda ku
Like
left
this.
kwako kunongo klika equation chacho cha wangambora na.
This one.
Yes, just put equation chacho chese.
Each.
With the probit then ukanda ma variables acho. I think that one and sikunyatsoona zvangu. Yes, I think that one. Yes. Yes, that one. Then what comma kumberi? Put comma. Then what level? In bracket to 0.90. Level. Yes. Then open my brackets on 90.
It's level 90.
Yes. Then press enter there. Execute.
Yes.
Orana.
Wait. Yes.
Yes. So if you look at the confidence interval, yeah, it's now 90% instead of 95. It's clear? I hope Jeremiah is not booted out. Hello guys, are we there?
Yeah, Aaron, you can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, sorry guys. Sorry guys. Okay. Fine. I think I've heard you. Actually, the command which was here as for me was to use dy dx. The dy dx, the differentiation formula. It means we want to see if they will get the same results. Option not allowed. Here we've failed to get the dy dx on probability. Is saying option not allowed. So let's learn from this one so that we take the mfx and then the one at 90% confidence interval. I think it has been described, and we now have to interpret the statistics. I've mentioned we'll be saying at COF. We'll be saying education adoption is actually dictated by education by likelihood of 0.125 probability at 90% confidence interval. Right? So these ones actually will give us the same values as you are seeing here. I think you're seeing on the previous one at Tamborana. Is 0.125. Here we have also 0.125. After Tanzorana, the MFX. Is it correct one which we are doing here? Right? Then after that, we run the average. On the average, marginal effect for probability, we do the same. But I was using the dx one, dy dx on average, and then we put a star, right? After that, the average marginal effect it explains additional effect which is made by a variable to the determinant variable. And it's in percentage again, just like the marginal the marginal effect. So the language in English normally in English for each additional adoption, right? Count for not additional adoption, but we talk of additional independent variable. Dependent variable will be to quarter the percent, the probability we convert it to become a percent, more likely to be the result of adoption. That's how exactly we'll be quoting that percentages. And where we say marginal, we'll be talking of additional. When we say average, we'll be talking of what? Average. It's 5% average. We take, for example, for education, it's actually 0.041 probability of the average of action, which is our variable. Right. I think this is what we were having for you guys. There are some where we are supposed to run the R squared, the pseudo R squared for the model. It's just a matter of displaying, and then we run. I'll just display how to run our pseudo squared. I'm going to run at this one because we were still fitting and trying to get analysis of these models, right? So the pseudo R squared of the model here, we are getting 0.015, but this is a repetition because the patampo rana pese tricky ona this one and already tangata from kweswata ifita, but it rana just the R squared for us to interpret. That's why Mauna with a rush and just rubbish a little bit, because I know that we tangata mojirana. And then we may also run the likelihood of the model. On the likelihood of the model, since I'm talking about the issue of predictability, probability of predictability, here the likelihood of the model, I will just apply the command. It will be as a general command line. Let me see if right. We are having a minus 67.88. This one, I don't know how to interpret it, but maybe someone may assist us from the group on the likelihood. I think in Dr. Randegant, no network young and sorry. My network.
No, Jeremiah.
We can
Oh,
hear
you are
you.
there.
Yes, kutovharwa cheko.
Musavarwa wako man. Okay, I was just displaying likelihood here, so you may research and find out how to actually do likelihood. Then last but not least, I'll present on how to see the constants with constants and like the model constants only, the constants only, and to specific on adoption, since it's our we have said this one to become a dependent variable, right? For constant only, that's the command line will run probit adoption. It's just to see the constants only. But this one, R squared, I'm just seeing I'm sizing the table this one, where we fitted the table. The constants only, these are the ones we are at the bottom, the likelihood is this one, which is already here, the 67, if you are seeing like this. So everything is given on the main table. Kutadza zvako umwinwi utesve hwachona neukuzungu un'un'a uri mukati mechi mekuti you can salamsize the table and generate these ones. Right? It's actually a good buy from this side. I hope we've managed to grasp some of the concepts related to probability and logit. Thank you from this pair.
Thanks, Fernando.
Okay, thank you. Danana, you may ask the team. Yes.
Log likelihood. I just observe it.
Yes, exactly. You are coming from where I was actually talking about. I said the table itself, in summary, the likelihood, the R squared, everything is there. But in case the case is saying, can you run alone? That's where you will be now doing the extra. The display of knowledge.
Okay.
I hope I've responded.
Because per log likelihood, I think, yeah, it's more or less the same pseudo R squared, because we're saying it's like how highly likely that this model is going to predict, like what we wanted to predict. So in a way, log likelihood yaka akufanana ne pseudo R squared. What we're just testing like the goodness of the fit of a model in a way, because to what team how highly likely is this going to satisfy our hypothesis? So is our model good enough? Like how good of a fit is the model for type that we're testing? So I think the like pseudo R squared, they more or less do the same thing. You could show the goodness of the model. Then I really don't know if you can interpret anything based on it in one like that, because what I know is how to use it in comparison to another, like saying potentially tine probit ne logit. I know you can compare the two. One the one in the higher shows it's a bit that is compared to the other one. But like in what one like log likelihood, maybe it's like negative 67. I don't know if we can use this to interpret anything 81 like that. Like I think it can it can vaguely give us an idea of how good is a model, but then it's better used compared to another model like Tarana project. We then compare the two and then say between those two, this one is a better fit than that one.
Okay, great. Thank you for that explanation. Thank you very much.
Talking before you go.
Hello?
All right. Pane pandoda kufunda. Anditi pane patamboti question ediri kuti still the appropriate hypothesis but anzeti 10%. Pane nyaya coefficient pane patamborana probit adoption yema variables diet kaisa 90 kuti ite at 90%. But pane pekupedzesera so pe code at the end pane code yekupedzesera nana coefficient dzokera pa 95%. Zitini kuti zvinenge
patatanga kurana model from the top anditika chiri mukati is actually 95% confidence interval, which is a general one. Tanga tisina ku specify. Saka andina kuti clear data. I was supposed to clear data and restart fitting the model, for me, could it estimate the 90%?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think it's a good buy from this side. Thank you for your ears. We may proceed continuing with the next. Unfortunately, I wanted to be you guys highway saka
Okay. Thank you, Jeremiah. Make sure you do share and work consolidate.
There's like solution is thinking Jeremiah. Submit. What exactly do you submit?
My screenshots of what the question requires per word, then
Snippet.
Need do file, right?
Yeah, in domains randagator, no submit as you say, you choose what you want. Either if you want to put my snippet, maybe by the same do file, or you want to create a Word document, you must snip it while, and then the do file as well. That was my understanding as well.
Yeah, but until I so commented inside the do.
Yeah, for comments, he said you need to come up with a Word document.
Yeah.
Oh, avatikuda zvekuti ndokomenta kuti apa ndikuitei.
I think those ones are allowed, but until like
comment for interpretations.
Oh. Vakambenge vaitonge vari kuti unochuza zvaunoda wani. Saka hapana kuchuza kana kuti vanhu tongozviitira pasaidi.
Yeah, I think zvinoneeds. Kutongoita in manziranda is unoita like snip or print screen, then wesa word and then watch comment as well comment based on what you have think. As what I put do file right or state.
Okay, I think that's straightforward. It's simple that way. All right.
Okay, so is Danane coming through or Jeremiah got up it for both of them? Hello? Is Danane around? Okay, so I've been made the interim chair, but I don't know Titata Papi, because I just know that Christy has presented Jeremiah, and I think there was someone before Christy Ndovandans. So if there's anyone else asataita, they can come through.
Were we not supposed to break at 6 and then we continue at 8? I don't know.
Oh, okay, yeah, I think that's okay. All right, so we can adjourn and then come back at 8. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Caroline, please inbox me.
Leslie.
And Leslie, what's up?
All right.
Hannah. Hello, Hannah.
Hi, Carol.
No, it's Oxy from Ruimbo's mic.
Oh, hi, Oxy.
Can you hi me up?
Terrible.
Dzakunanzana dzakakora kweni ndo haiwa nani.
Taura kuna tongodawo kubvunzawo zvimwe chete kani.
Hapana da kundi hayawo here ku up.
Because I just got in teacher meeting in there. So I'm not sure touch the econometrics which part Cox Namalix Kunok where for Ishmael.
Hello. Yes, at least Tino hauna rugu hayawo box.
Chava ndotoda kuhaiwawo sadaro.
Okay,
pinda ja. Enda kuinbox wakanyarara.
Ishmael.
Yes, Lakinde. Shangara hapana zviri kufamba pamene zviri kutaurwa handisi kumbohwa kuti zviri kuenda nekuri.
Pakaipa mukuru.
Wakambona ndakanyararawo here? Pane zvine zvitodzimba ivava.
Panenge pakaipa sekuru. Kutongoteerera. At least vamwe vanenge vane direction. Tinonga tichingotora one or two ipapo.
You can say that again.
Yeah. Just wanted to ask.
Yes,
who's going to share my documents like from discussion and corporate government?
Maybe you can hear from Nancy.
Because I thought it probably by now and for share committed 3 months lower than that. Nancy?
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
I'm good.
Yes, I was asking name, like my file was a discussion in corporate governance, if you have them. If you can you kindly share?
Okay, only 1% there can't share, the rest of us 30. So I can go and drop my inbox.
And it.
Alright, we can go at Family.
Okay, thanks so much.